6 p.m. September 24th, 2025, Village of Sutherland, Lincoln County, Sutherland, Nebraska, Board of Trustees, regular meeting. Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Scott Meyer.
Here.
Kim Becker.
Here.
Felicia Patrick.
Here.
Derek Dempsey.
Here.
Justin Nelms is absent. Quorum established.
Recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Notification of open meeting law poster is on the west wall. Proper procedure for guests. You have a question or comment, raise your hand. We'll call upon you and take it from there. To start out with, the board will hear comments at this time. All comments need to be directed to the chair. There will be a 5-minute time limit. There will be no discussion by the board on comments by the public that are not on the agenda. Is there any public comment? Brian?
5 minutes, man. Impression. So, Brian Bass, the account manager for the Village of Sutherland with Nebraska Public Power District. I'm here to present the annual report that we present annually to all our communities. And before I do that, I'm not sure all of you have met our new local manager, and so I'd like to introduce Billy Sigmund. Billy's moved here, how long? Billy, a month ago now?
It's been 5 months now.
Wow, look at that. So he, I said, why don't you come and introduce yourself, and he quickly kind of give a little bit of your background history, where you're at, so the community gets to know you a little bit more.
Okay. So I'm from North Platte originally. Went to line school in Omaha, and then after that I went to Colby, Kansas for maybe a little over 2 years for the city there. Then I got on the city of Cozad for about another 2 years, and then I got on with MPPD on the construction crew out of Lexington, and I was there for a little over 2 years. And then I got on here, so closer to home. Got a babysitter 20 minutes away now, so that's pretty sweet. I've got a 20-month-old boy and a 1-month-old girl. Bought a house here in town, so. Thank you.
And I think when he, my understanding when he interviewed, he said, I'm finally going home. So we hope to keep Billy here for a long time. We like to get our younger folks started, because some of us are not as young as we were. So it's good to have youth, children, more kids in your school. I'm sure they're going to get more involved in the local community too. So
Yeah. It's nice to be back home.
good.
Welcome.
Okay, I'll move through quickly, since I'm sure that was at least 3 of the 5, if not 5. So this is the report, once it goes around there.
Sorry.
So I'm going to start on the back, so if you flip it over on the reliability side, I'm just going to go through those buttons real quick. So that's about NBPD. So on the far left, we have 94,000 retail customers. That's just the retail portion, not complete with NBPD wholesale. We serve 84 of 93, that's at retail and wholesale. 81 retail communities like the Village of Sutherland. We have 80 others. You might know here in the last 2.5 years, we have taken over the Village of Paxton and the Village of Lodgepole. So we continue to grow our footprint. One of the values of the contract you have is we do all the maintenance, we do all the investments, and we return a 12% lease payment to you, which I'll cover here in a little bit. Miles of transmission line, generating stations, and real quickly cover that because you have our biggest crown jewel sitting outside of your community right here. Gerald Gentleman Station, they were built, I think Gentleman 1 came on, you probably know better than I do, I'll say 79-ish, and 2 maybe an 80. That is still our lowest cost, most efficient operating plant, and most reliable. So we do plan to continue to operate that as long as we can, and we have no decisions if we're going to make to shut that down. Some of you were involved in small modular reactor meetings. That is another source that we're considering that would be a perfect setup if we ever did segue out or in addition to add out to that plant. But our next tranche of generation actually will be natural gas fired. We're adding 694 megawatts in comparison to we have 13 out here. We're having 694 outside of Lincoln in Hallam, Nebraska, next to our Sheldon plant. That'll be natural gas, that'll be online in 2030. And then our next group will be another 750 megawatts at Beatrice, and that will also be natural gas fired. So we've seen such a tremendous load growth across the state of Nebraska. You all hear about AI and data centers. They're real and they're huge consumers of energy. So what they like about Nebraska, we were just recently named #1 in the nation for reliability. They want reliability because they don't want any kind of interruptions in price. Our costs are extremely low, 35% below the national average. So that's why they want to be in Nebraska. So we got to build that next grouping of generation to make sure that we're ready to serve them. Down the next section there under affordability, you'll notice where our rates are compared to other retail providers across the state. Last year was the first year we had an increase in the past 10. So we had 10 straight years with no rate increases. And anyone that's a consumer or a business knows how hard that was for us to keep our costs down and not have to raise rates. Last year we asked the citizens to have a 2% rate increase. This year we're looking, not at board approved yet, but we're gonna ask our board of directors for a 3% increase. We do see continuation with inflation the way it is and the costs going up. We do probably see those smaller increases happening here for a while until the economy's got to figure out where it's going to land and no one knows yet type of thing. Flip over to the front part of that. This is where the financial piece comes in, the far left. It shows your community collected in 2024, $344,736 in your lease payments. I can tell you for your size of community that you are like the third most collected, and it has to do with the Sutherland ethanol plant because it's all based on the kilowatts sold. So it's 12% of every kWh is then collected and remitted to you, and also the GRT, gross revenue tax, is a 5%, which is sent to the county. Then the county disperses that between all the taxing entities. So there's another small amount that comes through that. Gross revenue tax I just covered. Energy efficiency programs, I'll get down into that, was $5,600. So again, we have programs to do lighting retrofits, upgrades, energy efficiencies. If you're gonna get a battery powered lawnmower, we have incentives for those. So if you got things going on in the community, you wanna look at maybe changing over your business, doing a heat pump, anything electrical, we'll be glad to participate in that too. And then the last thing I'll point to, which is our carbon footprint. We're 58% carbon free. There's a big drive for renewables and wind. We're not opposed to them. We have them in our footprint. But we're proud to say even with the amount of plants, including a coal-fired plant outside the town here, we're already 58%. And we are gonna extend the license on our nuclear power plant, which is a huge part of why that's 58%. So I'm way over my time limit, so questions? Okay, thank you for squeezing me in. I know the agenda was kind of mixed up, so I appreciate you sliding into the comments in the first of the meeting. And if you don't mind, I think I will probably head back to the law. So.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
All right. With that taken care of, I would entertain a motion to approve our agenda as presented. Motion Patrick, second Backer.
Okay, Justin Nelms is absent. Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Kim Becker.
Yes.
Felicia Patrick. Motion carries.
Read and approve minutes, September 10th, 2025, regular meeting. Was there any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion Backer, second Patrick.
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Justin Nelms is absent. Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Kim Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Read and approve minutes, September 5th, 2025, budget work session. Any additions or corrections? What's that?
Move to approve the minutes of the budget workshop, September.
I'll second that.
Okay, Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Abstain.
Kim Becker.
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Justin is absent. Motion carries.
Sheriff's report.
And Captain Newton did email and let us know he is unable to be here this evening, so, but the sheriff's report is included in the packet.
So we've had 64 calls for service, 4 total traffic, 0 village code violations, 120.25 village hours. Last month to date hours were 1,091 and a half. Year to date, 1,211 and 3/4 on a 1,200 hour yearly contract. We have discussion on ordinances as well. We wanna wait for Mr. Newton to be here to go over that more, or?
Well, and I know the question on that was whether or not, everything has been uploaded. I did reach out to Lincoln County, to the clerk magistrate, and she said that everything that was in the book that is, an actual offense by law enforcement has been uploaded. So she said if it can be, a ticket can be written on it, it is in there.
We're good with that? Okay. So we can probably take the ordinance side of that off for next meeting. Unfinished business, storm sewer drainage, storm drainage, sewer lagoon drainage. And then we also, I'm gonna shift the agenda around and throw in there as well, sewer lagoon holding cell discussion with the state of Nebraska. And that would be Mr. Tom.
Yes, sir. First I have to get up, we have 3 fellows here from the state. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves if you don't mind.
Nope, no problem. I'm Rule Anderson, Division Administrator for Permitting and Engineering with what's now known as DWE.
Patrick Ducey, I am the NPDS, the State Permit Section Supervisor. I've worked with any type of discharge permit for the lagoon, and I was here about 2 years ago.
My name's Jen Lee. I'm the main review engineer for a wastewater project.
Appreciate these guys coming out. We've been going through a review process, and as you guys know, we have a lot of questions about why we're having to do anything at all at the wastewater treatment plant. I've shown or given you a last set of drawings that I submitted to the state. The state, in their review, decided they needed to talk to you personally, so I invited them to come out to this meeting, and here they are. We appreciate them coming. I guess you guys had questions, or you wanna talk to the board and rule, so whatever you wanna ask them that is the time to do it.
Oh, appreciate this, and I appreciate you having us out here. Really kind of want to open it up, want to answer your questions, what you have for us, and, you know, Jen working on the plans and specifications. If you have questions for him, you can ask him any questions, as well, and Patrick, who would be works on the NPDS permitting side of it. If you have questions about the permit, anything like that, and pathways forward and those types of things. But kind of intended to come out here and have you guys kind of lead, from where you're at.
So I guess if I may, we started looking at this, eventually we may have to have a discharge line down to the river. But until we explore all options, going across private property, we wanted to explore all options on our side of it before we try to push that, or even open up more discussions on that. And we worked with Tom, and I guess it got us to this point with the design of it. All of our studies have been done. Casey keeps good track of all of that. And we thought, or Tom had thought, that maybe this holding cell may help us with the discharge problem. We may not have to eventually do, we may not have to, or we may have to get to the river, we don't know yet.
One comment I'd make, with the existing pond that we have, like this year, we're about 3 inches above normal in rainfall. And we're not done with the year yet. Every inch takes about 10 days of storage away from us, on 27 acre feet times the volume we discharge. So we're already 30 days in the hole as far as storage. So that's the unusual things that happen sometimes, and not all the time. And so we designed it based on averages, which is a 9 acre cell. I think Lynn would prefer us to have an 11 acre cell, which means we'd have to build this out farther south than what we're currently showing it. Now, when I laid that out, I actually took the area where we currently have discharged water, and I just used we're gonna have a lot of dirt left over from our digging this pit. So, we were gonna just encase the area where we discharge to, and if the water eventually is taken up by the grass that's there, or evaporates or perks. But it takes a long time to get rid of it. But anyway, you guys didn't want us to do that. You said if we do that, we have to build a whole new cell, which is about doubling the cost of the project. So that's why I said, well, wait a minute, if we're gonna do that, we gotta, if you want us to just pile the dirt in a big hill, we can do that. It's not very constructive use of it, but it's gonna have to be piled somewhere. And all I was doing was piling it in a way that would contain the water if we have an overflow, which we may, some years we will, and some years we won't. Next year, we may be 3 inches under, and we'll have 30 extra days of storage, you know. So that's why you can't. It's nice to talk averages, but the problem is we don't live in averages. We live in extremes of either too wet or too dry, it seems like. And so all we're trying to do is make something constructive out of what we got. Now, if we have to expand it 2 more acres to the south, we would end up taking out a bunch of those trees that Casey doesn't really want to take out, and I don't either. They're pretty nice trees, but that's what we'd have to do. And it would also increase the cost of the project. So we already, we started this process of getting these plans completed in August, I think. Well, we're gonna have a hard time getting it built. I'd say we're probably 15% higher now than if we would have been working on it already. I mean, there's guys who are looking for work right now, but by the time we get this on the street for advertising, we're probably gonna be getting dinged because, if the interest rate continues to drop, more work will show up, and then there'll be less contractors willing to do the work for us. That's the philosophy kind of behind why I wanted to get something going. If we're gonna, now, I will tell you this, I can speak for the board on this. The board doesn't want to do anything. We would just soon, we dump it into a ditch next to the plant, goes down the ditch, and actually runs out on, mostly on our property and stays there. If it would go into the ditch, then you guys already, Patrick's been out already graciously come and explained to us that we would be influencing groundwater and would have a higher set of discharge requirements. So consequently, and we also talked to all our neighbors around the plant site, and we tried to get them to agree to let us run it through the pivot, run it through to the river. All of them have said no, they won't let us cross the property. So one of them came in, it was a pretty Silver Spurs, I think it is.
Yes.
Told us at a meeting, I think Patrick was here, said that we're not gonna let you do anything unless you do everything you can yourself first. And so this is part of that, we're doing everything we can ourselves first. And our intent is that if we do this thing, and then we still have discharge for whatever reason, then they'll more likely accommodate us with a pipe to the river, so that we could get out of this business of a cycle of building and having to rebuild and et cetera. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of where we're at.
Sure, appreciate that, and I appreciate what they want, what they're asking you beyond that. It's interesting, with the land application aspect of it, that the unwillingness for that. I'm not, pointing any fingers, not blaming.
Well, they're all in favor till they talk to their agronomist and they figure out how much salt is involved in it, and then right there they just shut off.
And that's interesting. And I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse on this.
Yeah.
We have communities that do this, and I think that a community I can point to that does it about the same size as Arapahoe, and they've been doing it for years now. Now, I don't know, not an agronomist, I don't know what the salt concern is in wastewater. Domestic wastewater is pretty constant, and it's not so salty that we can't, it can go into streams and things like that. It's worse if it's a cooling water blowdown at times. So, if that's something that could be revisited in the future, that's something that is helpful. But if you can't, you can't. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna beat that dead horse. Understand land access issues. That can be an issue many, many places. get that. Looking at this design here, and Jen may be able to elaborate on it. It's not typical, you know, we don't see something like this usually. Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was rapid infiltration cells. And there's design standards for those. The unfortunate part is that lagoon systems can't meet the 10 milligram per liter total nitrogen limit that are in those design standards. And it reminds me a little bit of that. We've got a area that does not meet seepage rate of lagoons. Groundwater's still an issue. A groundwater section verified that for us even back when Patrick was here before. So there are some problematic items with this design that will probably make it difficult to approve. And Jen, if you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think something I'd like to add on here is, I think that Tom told me, I think in this area, I think the soil is pretty tight for some reason, but we don't have the actual seeping rate from the geotechnical report at this moment. So when I do the review on this, I have to use 0 as a seeping rate. If I plug that number here, I think the total surface area required is a 40.4. My understanding is that
The acres.
the acre, yeah.
For lagoon size.
Yeah, the total surface area. So I think the existing 3 cell is a 27, and I think Tom proposed another lagoon cell number 4, called is not add another 9 acre, which just means we still have like a 4 acre short. So if we try to use another cell, which is here, I think Tom called spoil waste area. From the engineering side, we have to make sure this pond follow the design standard from the state regulation. So that's, I think, the 2 options. I talked to Tom and even I think the waste operator here. So we have 2 options potentially. The first one, we make sure 2 ponds follow design standard, or I can just approve 1 cell which is already designed, follow design standard. And from the community side, you have to make sure every time when you discharge to the South Platte River, the treated effluent. Because I think the community already have the NPDES discharge permit, which is supposedly you need to discharge to the South Platte River, so.
But we can't get to the south.
No, that's just it, we can't get to it. We had a ditch at one time that they used to let us run it down the ditch, and then they said no more. So then we've just been dumping on us, and we've tried for the last 2 years to get access to the river, and they pretty much flat told us that we'll see you in court, and it'll cost you just as much in lawyer's fees as it will to build another lagoon. So that's where we're at. We're at a rock and a hard place.
And one of the problems with this, we're in a fortunate position. The village of Sutherland financially is stable. We don't qualify for grants because our LMI is so high. So this is gonna be something that's funded by us. In other towns, it's easier when they can go get a grant, work through the process. We're not able to.
Grants aren't that readily available. They really aren't. You have to hit those triggers. Now, there is low interest loans. The SRF program does offer low interest loans when other avenues aren't available. You're not required to get those loans. There's other methods to do it. That is available out there as well.
Yeah, they have money sufficient for it, or they can bond it if they need to. But I think what I'm hearing Jen say is that, you know, we build the cells and we all have to go to the river. Well, we can't go to the river. So, I mean, to me, you know, the way I laid it out, we have perk tests from the first lagoon cell. We did some perk tests the second time around too, and they're about the same thing. It's tight soil for sure. So, and I think what happens to these ponds is they seal up over time. They don't get more percolation, they get a lot less percolation because of the sodium content in the wastewater. So consequently, it's just gonna exacerbate the problem in time. What our hope is that we can build this thing, and then if our people that don't want us to have access to the river see it, then they'll give us permission to cross their property and say, okay, you did your part, now we can do our part, we'll let you put this pipe underground, which, by the way, isn't gonna hurt them a bit, cause it'll be all buried, but, and we'll still have to have access to it, cause we'll still have to pull samples out of it, but I mean, that's really what's kind of going on. I mean, am I incorrect, is that right?
So we wanna,
Absolutely right.
yeah, we wanna do everything, and they requested we do everything possible on our site before we meet again to discuss getting to the river.
And what really kills us, there's times here that them lagoons rise over 4 months out of the year, and that's where we run into trouble, cause we're not getting any evaporation. You know, I can go in the winter at 3 feet, and as soon as the ice comes off, all my cells are sitting at 5 feet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really hurts me.
And that's just from, you know, domestic use, not, I know that you've done some studies and
No,
looked
no,
at the
that's just-
sewers and.
Cause I'm
But-
not getting any evaporation going.
Mhm.
So there's the 4 months that I'm not getting any evaporation, and if there's not any percolation, there's not any, everything's just sitting there.
Yeah, and that's a detention time issue as well, so that comes into the capacity issues. You know, the lagoons are, right now what I saw is that you discharge a couple times a year.
Once.
Is that correct? Once a year?
Yeah.
I've seen some in, what, April or May, then
That's
some later on.
Right now, we just been doing, the last 2 years, it's been April, May, right in there.
And that's been problematic for you, it looks like, from meeting the limits.
And it, yeah,
That-
we're, like they say, we're never gonna meet the limits.
Yeah, and it's not just ammonia that I'm seeing, it was
The
also
BOD, I think, is high.
BOD, which is a secondary standard, which doesn't matter where you discharge, you gotta meet that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another capacity issue, unless there's another issue going on with how the cells are being operated or short circuiting and things like that. But typically it comes down to it being a capacity issue in those instances. So it really doesn't matter where you're discharging. If you can't meet that, that's another water quality issue that has its basis in the Clean Water Act. So it's a top-down type of thing.
So I guess, in you guys' opinion, if we built this cell the way it's designed, it would not help us with our discharge issues, is that correct?
I have to defer to Jen, I'm not sure it meets design standards.
Which one?
The shallow cell.
The other one, it does.
We would need 4 more acres to
Yeah, I
be
mean,
considered.
yeah, if you, build here called like a spoil waste area, this pond follow the design standard, the same as like a new lagoon cell number 4, I think you don't need to discharge anymore. Cause I think the volume is enough, sufficient.
It would be, but the problem would be for us is that now we have all this lagoon area and we have to keep it wet. So now we have to pump water into it to keep it full. And that's another thing we really don't wanna do very bad is start adding water to those lagoon cells to keep them 2 feet or higher. That's another thing. So we're trying to thread the needle, kind of the average.
Are you building to like a 20-year growth scenario then?
Yeah.
Is that necessary? Is that necessary right now?
Well, it isn't enough of a growth scenario to matter too much. I mean, it's like, I don't think it adds that much more rule, but I think it's foolish not to provide for some future growth.
And I understand that, and that's typical. I mean, when I say that, I mean, it's standard practice.
Yeah,
Or design.
I mean, we can take off the shallow pond. I mean, it's no big deal. We just pile the dirt in a big pile, and it's kind of, to me, it's kind of silly not to make constructive use of that dirt. It's still a spoil pile. It's however you want to configure it. But if you want us to put in a great big pile, we can do that and not try to contain the water that we do discharge when and if we ever might discharge, which we're not saying we will, we're just saying we might. Now, Jen thinks we will. I personally think we will some years, but not a lot of years not. That's my thinking. So, it's just how you look at it. I mean, it's for sure. I mean, it's very hard to predict what the existing cells are doing because the pan evaporation versus the lake evaporation versus what's happening in Sutherland. We get rainfall in Sutherland, sometimes 4 inches when we get an inch in North Platte. I mean, it's just like, it's very hard to predict. You can take averages all day if you want to, but it affects us So that's another aspect of this. That's why we're trying to build in as much flexibility as we can. But if you wanna take off that page with the shallow pond, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me, it makes you feel better, you know, but I don't know. We still, if you want us to add 4 acres, we do that too, I guess, but I just don't wanna get so big that we have to start adding water to it.
Guys, can I pause for 1 second? I do have to open a public hearing for our tax request. I'll open that, and then we can continue our discussion. So it is September 24th, 2025, 6:30 PM, Village of Sutherland, Lincoln County, Sutherland, Nebraska. Budget hearing. I can have a roll call, please, Bonnie.
Scott Meyer,
Here.
Kim Backer,
Here.
Felicia Patrick,
Here.
Derek Dempsey.
Here.
It should say Justin Nelms, who is absent. Quorum is established.
There is notification of the open meeting law poster on the west wall. Proper procedure for guests. We have a question or comment, call upon us, and we'll take it from there. We'll start with new business proposed budget statement. If we'll just leave it at that. Would you guys like to continue the conversation?
Okay, that's fine. So I'd offer that if that makes you, makes the state feel better. I know you guys wanna come out and talk to the village. I think probably, maybe not quite believing what I was telling you evidently. So I would say, you know, you've heard what the village says. I don't know, what's the compromise or what would you like us to be doing? I guess that's the question.
There are some potential options that are different than what we're talking about. I do think having a new lagoon cell could be helpful for one. If there are excess rainfall, you would get more treatment and you would be able to meet potential other limits. There are other options that may not be very easy, and those are maybe trying to find another discharge location. Obviously, the easiest one is the South Platte River, though we do have access issues. The biggest thing is we want to make sure if it does go to a creek or a ditch, that it gets somewhere. We don't want it going to groundwater. So if there is another discharge location that has, you know, to the east of the facility or to the west to get to a ditch that maybe could get to the river, or even the North Platte River, though that is much further distance, that is an option that we could look into. Now, obviously, there's issues where the railroad's right next to the village, the lagoon system. The railroads are very difficult to work with. They're almost impossible to work with.
We'll have to pull teeth just to even talk to them,
Yeah.
get under the railroad. We've been through that, it's not pretty, so I'm sure that's one of the options that is off the table.
Sure. I'm just trying to say
Yeah,
there could be.
I understand.
Like, I don't know if there's a way to get a pipe, I don't know if there's like a way to get like a lift station to a road, or upstream to get down to the river that way, if there is an easement on the road right there.
So the roads all end.
Okay.
For us to get anywhere outside of Sutherland, this is the last road, it's all private property.
It's all private
property.
No matter which direction we go from right now where we're at, we're gonna have to cross private property.
Okay.
And Tom did look at one point, everybody to the east and everybody to the west to see if they would allow it. But unfortunately, they're all the same property owners.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean,
and one's got a hard on for us, and he told the other one, so it's, yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
you'd mentioned a while back, not land applying because of the sodium content. Now, if you built more capacity that didn't get you to complete retention, that would reduce the amount of times you would need to land apply,
Right.
you know, and reduce that. The nice thing about land applying, is that you don't need our permit to do that. You can follow it, there's rules to follow, but they're not in a permit, and you can.
Well, we kinda land apply now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like now, land application is usually sprinkler land application.
Well, we're flood irrigate, that's a common
Yeah, and you
practice.
think about flood irrigation and how that works, you know, it doesn't meet our requirements.
And we thought about putting,
You also get the irrigation return flow and all that, which is another.
and we looked into that, putting a little corner pivot there, but we don't own
we don't
the
know.
80 acres or whatever that's the minimum.
Yeah.
Cause that same thing, you know, the one landowner will also you this pivot corner, but then again, we're gonna be up, he's gonna want just as much for that little pivot corner, or than doing the cell.
I just don't, the bermed area, I don't know if that's a workable option, I really don't.
Take it out of there and just dump it like we have, if we ever do, and then we can pile it in a big pile. I just thought it would be helpful to use it as a constructive way, And we're gonna have quite a bit of spoil coming out of that pit we're digging.
And we typically have like a couple options, land application or discharge to a stream. Ultimately discharge to a stream.
Well, we can dump it, we can put it in there is a stream that runs right next to us that goes to the South Platte River, but Patrick doesn't like that because you feel like that's sitting on top of the groundwater, but we've shot all that stuff. We're probably still 4 feet above the groundwater, I think, and we could put a monitoring well in and make sure the groundwater's below that
Well,
grade of the ditch and.
And that's the one that doesn't get to the river, does it?
No, it does.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, that's different than what I've been told in the past. So
Well,
if we're able to-
it had a block in it, but
Okay.
that can be removed.
Yeah,
Because
I'm-
a farmer just went across and didn't put two.
They put the block in last time the river flooded real bad to keep the river from coming up. And I'm positive, we talked to the landowners, they won't have a problem taking that out. And then that takes us to the river.
Yeah, it does go to the river.
Well, that's different information than we've had in the past, so
Well,
that's
agreed.
new
Yeah.
to learn that, that's good. I'm not saying that that might be a potential option, but maybe that is. Cause we can redo cause permit limits right now are written as if it's a direct discharge into the river. But we have the ability to write permit limits for a discharge to even a dry ditch. But
And
as
that's
long
what-
as it doesn't, as long as we can know that it actually will get somewhere and it doesn't actually just all infiltrate is one of the things that we're concerned with. But if that ditch does make it to the river, that does change things a little bit.
Well, it does go to the river. We shot the groundwater and it's on the plans, the elevation of the groundwater versus the elevation of the ground. And we also shot that ditch and have shots on the flow line of that ditch, so you can compare them. I mean, you know, it's easy to do, but, and I was gonna suggest we put a monitoring well in and make sure the groundwater is at a certain level before we ever put any water in the ditch. That would be something to do, you know.
That might be something we can work with.
That actually seems,
That does change things.
it does.
Good.
The thing to keep in mind though is that you may need some more capacity to meet those
Well,
what they call it second.
I think they do. I think they need
And I
to build,
don't-
that's why I propose a cell.
and I don't think the board would have a problem putting a cell in it if we could use that ditch to discharge it.
That ditch goes, that was kind of a missing piece for us. We didn't have that part of the story.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere it got dropped, cause we've been for 5 years arguing about this ditch.
Yeah,
And
we
the
talked-
one thing that, the information we had is that it did.
If that
Make
ditch
it-
I
is
think-
there, yeah.
Sooner or later, if we do get growth, we're gonna need that cell anyway.
Mhm.
And if that cell helps us where we don't have to discharge, that's great, you know? But if we do have to discharge, if we could use that ditch, that would save us so much headaches.
Well, and that will allow, because what if the village continues to grow?
Yes.
Eventually you might outgrow that cell, if you have the ability to discharge, that means you still can grow.
Yeah.
More revenues.
That's something that Tom can work with you guys on to revamp the plans and move forward possibly with that?
We can definitely look into it, yes.
It probably will affect those ammonia limits. Now, but we'll calculate it differently because there's no dilution there. We'll have to use default flow, and I will make a recommendation to you to think about this, is that if you can get that cell built and you discharge once a year, to discharge in November
Yeah.
and not May, and because I didn't see you having that same problem at that time of year.
The reason why we discharge in May, cause like I said, the ice comes in,
Right.
we fill up, and I wanna get it down before we get to March winds
Mhm.
and have it washing out. That's why we discharge when we do.
Yeah,
Cause we are full.
Yeah, and the issue is that after winter, none of that stuff's getting treated like it would. And then actually, that's kind of the catch-22 lagoon systems, and why you can't discharge in the summer besides E. coli,
Yes.
is that algae builds up and you get those solids in there, but that algae is what knocks your ammonia down. And by the time you get in November, your ammonia limits you're there. And the ammonia limits are better usually
Yeah.
in the winter time.
But if we had that other lagoon, then we could discharge in that, then it could set till November.
No, that'd be.
Actually ideal if it would evaporate down to the 2.5 foot where we, and stay there, I'd be happy, cause then we could just keep adding to keep our flow up, our minimum up. We'd be okay.
Like, we'd be happy too.
Yeah, imagine that.
Gosh, that'd be
So-
great. Everybody.
Sounds like we have a direction to start exploring.
Sure.
You guys
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yep, that sounds good, and I can give you the shots we took on that ditch. We shot all the way to the river.
That sounds
Yeah.
good.
It's
I already,
pretty, so.
actually, I already go through my checklist. I think if I think Tom only want us to review the new lagoon cell number 4, I think it's good to go. Yeah. So,
okay.
Okay,
So we can send that out for bids then.
okay.
Uh,
We'll take out the shell.
you have to
Take out the
take,
shell,
take it.
Yeah.
So we would, if I heard you right, we would remove adding this lagoon number 4 and do our just discharge to the ditch, to the river, or what was your suggestion?
Oh, so I think Tom just need to remove spoil waste area, that pond. But I think for the newly proposed cell number 4, it's good to go. So, yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's not a pond, it's an emergency overflow. I'm just giving you a hard time.
All right, so Tom, if you wanna,
Okay.
I guess,
Yeah,
continue
we
on
can
with
do
that. Thank
That's
you,
not
gentlemen,
what
very
we're
much.
doing.
Yeah,
Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
likewise.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the opportunity to come out here and
Yeah,
speak
thank
with
you.
everyone.
But you can come next 2 weeks too. That's all right.
Well, I might have to pass on that one.
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for arranging this.
You don't have to stick around. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll give them a minute to walk out and we'll.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, it's good seeing you, Tom. Yeah.
Don't give Jeff too hard a time when he's out there.
I suppose you guys will be in Gary next week.
What's that?
Be in Gary next week?
I'm not, but I don't.
Basically.
Paul Conlon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're kinda like holding back on a lot of travel right now. Come on, see you guys, that's fine, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
In summary, you guys asked for $495,000 rounded numbers, but in a tax request, based on 11 or 114 million of valuation. Evaluation increased quite a bit from past years. I think everybody's kind of aware of it, the countywide and everything like that. Overall, your property tax request last year was 451. This year we're at 495. It's approximately a $40-some thousand increase. You guys really haven't had an increase for quite some time. Based on the increase in salaries, insurance costs, all the way across the board, I think it was time to bump that up a little bit. So we've got a valuation increase of 10%, a tax request change of 10%. Your tax rate itself is exactly the same as it was last year.
So we are, with this, we're not raising our mill levy?
No, mill levy stays exactly the same as what it has been. You're just taking the increase based on what the county's changed your valuations by. So, I mean, you do have room to go more if you wanted to. The village can go up to 45 cents before they have to have like bond exceptions and stuff like that. You guys are at 43. So, I mean, you would have some room there. There have been some substantial changes, and I'll just touch on it a little bit, that the state did on budgets. And this affects your cities and your counties primarily. They changed the lid calculations considerably. They did away with the capital improvement exemption, which you used to do for lagoons, different stuff you're talking about. That's no longer an exemption. Bonds still are. General obligation bonds, that would be like something for the streets or for general obligation. You cannot get a bond exception for like a revenue bond that's based on like your water or sewer, because the rates from them are supposed to pay for that. That is still there. There are some stuff also they have for public safety that is allowable. Your guys have changed a little bit because you no longer have the fire department and or ambulance. So that doesn't really apply so much. There's some argument you could possibly do it with your interlocal with the sheriff, because we got an interlocal agreement there. And what that would allow is to essentially ask for another $90-some thousand. You guys have been able to absorb that in the past, and we did that budget that way as if that was not an exception to it. The other thing they changed drastically was what they called your unused authority. And I don't have the numbers exactly, but I think your unused authority in the past year was over $1 million-some. What the state did, they did a conversion formula. I don't know how they did it, but they calculated for every city and village in Nebraska,
your converted value coming into this year for that unused authority, was like, I think it ended up being, I mean, it's very low comparison, if I find the next page. Apologize, there's some different pages that come in now. 22,567. So somehow they converted $1 million some dollars to unused to 22,000. Now, it seems extreme, but that's not unusual from looking across the state at the other ones is what they did. Part of that, the reason they did that is they took your tax request you had last year and they just give that to you as your starting number. So you got your base, you didn't lose your base. And just a short thing, let's say for example you budgeted $400,000 last year and you took a $200,000 lit exception for capital improvement. Well, and you did not spend the $200,000. Now you're going forward, your authority's only $200,000. So what they did is they said, you know what, we're doing away with capital improvement, we're doing away with everything, we're just gonna give you a starting base. So your starting base is what your request was. So you're not going behind, you're basically where you were. Now there are gonna be some timing issues where let's say you had a city or village that way raised their taxes last year for whatever reason, they get a higher base to start with. The ones that said, you know what, we're gonna really cut last year and really be super conservative, they kinda hurt themselves because their base is smaller. I mean, they just lost it. So you guys over the years have been consistent, so you gotta start with that consistent base. The other big change was, and there was a big confusion to a lot of people, every year they always had to do the vote to do the 1% increase. You know, you see that in the paper, the board voted to increase the budget by 1%, and a lot of people got excited about that, thinking, oh my God, they raised their taxes 1%, they didn't have to do that, et cetera, et cetera. That just affected the unused authority number, really didn't have any effect on your levy or your mill levy or anything, it just was a deal. But the state did away with it, it's gone. They've replaced that with what they call the growth per county assessor, and that's always been around, but because of your increase in growth, you get a 1.72% bump there, and then they call it an inflation percentage. Well, that's at 5%. So you got the 5.1 plus 1.7, you're almost a 7% increase as opposed to a 1%. So, as we said, you know, it doesn't affect your taxes, that just affects your unused authority. And it's kind of an automatic thing, it's a formula thing. There isn't anything you guys can say, well, we only want 3%, or we only want 1%. That's just the formula that the state has said this is what they're all gonna be, they just make it consistent. So that's kind of the major change with it. You no longer have, I guess, some of the lit exceptions that we had to do in the past, you know, that motor vehicle parade, and then you take, you know, your sales tax would be a lid, would be restricted funds, et cetera. They just kind of eliminated a lot of that and start with your base. So there, you don't have, and the reason they did that, I think, is you were having some communities are playing with that capital improvement. We're just throwing a number in every year. The tax requests kept going up and up and up, and they never were spending that. You know, they'd always say, well, we might spend it. It might be 20 years down the road before they spend it. But I think they just decided, no, this isn't working. The other thing that you guys do not have to do as a village as opposed to city, you don't have to have, I know you heard those little postcards. They got a little postcard, you gotta go to the county, it's a meeting, have a public hearing, all that stuff. It doesn't apply to villages, so you don't have to worry about it. If you were a city, it still wouldn't apply unless you're taxed, you have to raise your tax request a certain amount. So if you're under that certain level, you'd be okay with that. So, that's why we're not really discussing that for the village, because it doesn't apply to you. The other thing is that everything was probably published in the paper as far as being a 5-day notice. You guys have always met those requirements. So other than that, as far as the total budget of expenditures, we ended up with, we actually lowered that from what we had in the past. I believe this year we're budgeting right at 10.5 million for total expenditures. What that does, that allows you to do any imaginable project that you may or may not do. It's enough cushion in there. You guys have been spending around anywhere from 2.5, 2.6 million last couple of years. So realistically, you're probably going to spend similar to that. The other thing that we always do like to look at is your cash position. Beginning of the year cash in 23, which would have been 10-1 of 23, was about 2.9 million. 10-1 of 24 was 3.3, and then it dropped back down to 3.1 at the start of this next fiscal year. So cash position dropped a little bit. It's pretty average though across the board for the 3 years, which tells you that the village has done a great job of maintaining their cash position. They're not getting, hoarding a bunch of cash, but they're basically budgeting what they need to pay for their current from a year-to-year basis. That's how we kind of look at taxes and determine, okay, we got a tax problem, do we really need more, do we need to find other sources of revenue? One thing that has helped you considerably, it's helped a lot of communities, is your sales tax receipts. That's been great. I mean, it's helped you quite a bit. And as MPPD alluded to earlier, that franchise fee from east of town helps considerably. That's a $300-some-thousand bump that would have had to be made up someplace. Which, based on as long as that plan's been operational and stuff, you would have realistically had to raise taxes considerably years ago. And it would have been that way. So it's really beneficial overall to your total, because all that stuff comes into your budget process. It's all other local receipts and where you're at, stuff like that. And then you guys generally, you budget projects. You don't necessarily do them if you can't afford them. You save up money till you can. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the pool I think is paid off or will be paid off this fiscal year.
June
So-
was last payment.
So that'll be done, and then, it's not saying you're not gonna have another bond in the future. Hopefully interest rates, like you mentioned, continue to go down. When they do go down, that's when you look to maybe bond stuff, frankly, because, you take advantage of those rates when they hit that. But overall, I think you guys put together a very fiscally conservative, proper budget. Taking into account the increased costs and stuff like that, and gone that way. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there any questions from the audience on our budget process or where we're at with this today?
Another thing, Bob says we're down a little bit from the overall number, but gotta remember, we've done 3 water main projects out of that too, so there's quite a bit junk right there.
That puts it back up, we're a typical starting range. There's no comment from the audience anywhere? Okay. Do I have to officially read anything on that, Rory?
On this part here, guys, basically you had your hearing presented, and then no comments or whatever, or let us comment and close that. And then you're gonna have another hearing to actually set the property tax request. Right.
So that resolution, we have that today? You do, I think. Okay, yep. It's on the second to last page.
Yeah, I actually put all this stuff in the packet I handed out. This isn't normally what gets sent to the state, because you'll notice there's a repeat of the publication that hits the paper, the resolution setting, and I left it in there. I think Bonnie has her own that she types up. But basically this is kind of a state format, say, prints off from there. You can use this or you can modify it however you guys.
And I think in the past we've used it, I just give it the number and I didn't
Yeah,
have it,
I
so
mean,
it
you
will,
can just write the number in there,
Yeah.
This is on the state website is what they suggested wording, but you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
But it does meet the requirements.
Okay.
The only other thing I mentioned that I forgot to mention it on the interlocal agreement in the back, you used to have to list, dollar-wise, of the cost of these, we're taking the whole column out, so it's just what it is. So you just gotta list law enforcement, but you don't have the cost,
Yeah.
because there's no lit exception. That's kind of.
here's what, do I have the resolution on the wrong, agenda?
It's a resolution on the.
I have it on the
Budget.
The
budget hearing and not the special meeting for the final tax request, did I have it on the wrong agenda?
I don't know what your agenda is, but I know on the publication, it says it would follow a hearing to set that and follow the budget. So you can have any time between now and the rest of the week.
Well, and I have a second agenda for the, to set the final tax request, but, and I may have misread the email from you that said we needed the resolution to set the levy request, and I based it off what we had done last year too. The resolution was included with the acceptance of the budget, and then this final tax request was, I assumed something separate, so.
Well, basically, you have the budget hearing, you close it.
Okay,
So they say, okay, we'll follow close it. Then you open up and you have, you're setting, do your resolution to set the priority.
okay, and that was a misunderstanding on my part, so.
It's all part of the meeting though, I would think.
Well, so what we'll do, cause this is a separate budget hearing, you remember they changed law a couple years ago, you can't
Right.
limit it by time, whatever.
Exactly.
But I think the budget public hearing, you concluded that. I will note on your regular agenda, you do have special hearing to set final tax request following the budget hearing. So, you do indicate that you're setting the final tax request tonight. That's clearly on the agenda.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
And that is in your packet as the resolution. So I guess if there's any additional questions or concerns about that, I think it is identified on the agenda itself.
So we would have this resolution ready.
Yeah.
So if there's no other questions on our public hearing for the September 24th, 2025 Village Sutherland budget hearing, we'll go ahead and close that down. It is 6:56. We'll close that down. We'll go back into our regular board meeting. Can we just take care of that now?
Yeah, I think it probably is appropriate to go to that agenda item to set final tax
All right.
request.
So, yep, so as Rory suggested, we'll go to special hearing to set final tax requests following the budget, and that would include resolution 2025-0903. Motion Backer. Second Patrick, is there any discussion on that? Go ahead, Bob.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Justin Nelms is absent, Kim Backer, Felicia Patrick. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Just a little clerical stuff, the minutes from tonight, as soon as they're done, whether they're signed or not, doesn't matter. Email them to me, got the proof of publications, gonna drop those, got those. And then, I got the valuation center there. Basically, I emailed this, the valuations, that, and your minutes to the state. They'll send a confirmation that the budget's received and you're good. If there's any additional stuff they need, sometimes they send an email and say, hey, can you send us the signed minutes later? A lot of times they don't even worry about it, because they know it's just a formality, but they'll send me a confirmation back and then I'll email that to you, so everything's taken.
Okay. Do
Got
you
till the
need, do you
30th,
need
but
this
frankly, I'll do it this Friday.
signed resolution included with that also?
I don't have to have it, but if you got it signed, and they'll sign it tonight or whatever, just throw it in the email to me.
Well, and actually, there's no signature, it just is, I certify that who voted yes, who voted no,
Right,
who
right
was
down below.
absent,
That's what I
so.
mean, yeah,
Yep.
not a problem.
And I will get started on those minutes tomorrow, Haley already knows
Yeah,
that, I
and
will
then
be
I,
on
like I
that, so.
said, either by Friday or Monday, I'll just shoot it to the state.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for purchasing it too.
Okay, sure.
All right, we'll hop back onto our agenda, property on Walnut Street, nothing to report at this time. Milling and repaving of village streets. Casey, did you want to go over the Shelco?
Yeah, what that is, Justin had me look at a couple intersections that he thought were rough. I looked at, I remember about 5 or 6 of them. And there was, with Shelco, there's really only 2 intersections that he could do any good without really opening up a can of worms. One of them is that little bump right in front of the Catholic church where it transitions from concrete to asphalt. He would, bring that down a little bit more, taper it down. And then the other intersection is over there on Pine and Liberty that's got that 6-inch lip on it. And he said he would mill that down back 3 feet, and come back and reseal it.
If I remember right, this was approved, this was discussed 3 or 4 years ago, is that correct, Casey?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
But the total for both intersections would be $6,380.
Which is out of your
So would the board like to address those intersections this time or not?
When would he start, Casey?
What's that?
When would he start?
I didn't ask him.
Oh.
The really, the Catholic Church one, it's always been there, it's not near as severe as the one over on Pine Street.
It's not nearly as severe, but it costs more money.
Well, that's a little bit, it's a wider street.
Wider.
Yeah. Wider street, and he's going back, if I remember, like 20 foot.
But the other 2 streets or 3, he can't do anything with.
No, cause one of them was the intersection there of Oak and Second, and same thing over there, the intersections of,
Third.
Second and Third and Palm Boulevard, that little dip there. We gotta have them, cause that's the aprons for the gutter to get the water to run. And the biggest thing, when you start milling them down and stuff, you're taking that seal off the asphalt, then you're just opening it up for water intrusion, and you're creating more problems doing that than just either milling the streets down, starting all over, or
Were these 2 on that list that Justin gave you? They were on that list, or is
Yes.
this something that he, yeah?
And like one, Scott was over there when Shelco, when I met with Shelco, that one on Oak and Second, and even to attempt something there, he was talking $65,000-$70,000. And then basically all we're doing is putting a dip in going the other way.
Do you think it's worth it?
I think it is on the Liberty one, Liberty and Pine, cause that has got a severe lip there.
And you don't think we need the other one?
I don't think so on Catholic Church one, no, it's been that way for,
Is he gonna wanna come in just for the one instead of both?
I don't know, that'd be a question I'd have to ask him. I don't see why he wouldn't, cause we give him quite a bit of business throughout the years.
He separated each part of the project out.
I can ask if you don't wanna do it, then I can always bring it back to the board.
I just have never seen the issue on Locust Street myself.
It's just,
It must be just a real gentle thing or
you
something.
can tell when you hit it with a loader.
Yeah, it's
When you ride a bicycle, you can
Yeah.
really tell.
Yeah.
Can I borrow your bike?
You can. And hang on tight at that place.
Scott had me look at the one at Liberty and Pine, and I agree with what you're suggesting.
What do you think about the one on Locust, Tom?
I didn't really look at that one.
What it is, Tom, it's just a transition from concrete to asphalt over the years of armor coating and stuff,
Build it up.
building up.
Can't hurt it to mill it down. I don't think the investment is that much for what you're getting.
Right.
The traffic that it gets.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic
Yeah.
on both of them.
Yeah.
Can I say something on that? Just knowing those streets are as thin as they are, which usually the case, that might be if he mills that down. Some of this over here was only an inch thick, that asphalt, which he'll find out, Sheldon will find out right away.
But what we was gonna do on the Catholic Church, we wasn't so much as gonna mill it down, is bring an overlay down, ramp it down farther. Cause the same thing, he scared once he starts milling and we open it up, we're gonna open it up for.
Yeah.
So what we's gonna do there is go from gutter to gutter, just overlay back about 10 foot, just a gradual ramp up to it.
15-foot transition, I think
Yeah.
it said.
That'd be nice.
And that's why that'd be more than the other one, milling it down.
Upon Tom's recommendation in his saying that it is not that much of an investment I'll move to approve Shelco's proposal to do those two streets.
Second Dempsey.
Justin Nelms is absent. Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
One question on that, is this something that we can handle in the current budget cycle and get it taken care of?
You wouldn't be able to approve.
It would be on claims at the next one, that's fine,
Yeah,
that's fine, we can work around it. It'll be on the next budget cycle, it's all good.
not unless you wanna add it to this claims and payable
And just
on.
adjust.
We didn't do much with streets this year, for what we
Just-
budgeted, correct?
Correct. Oh, crack sealing was the biggest.
Would that be possible, Rory, is to add it to this claims and present check upon completion of, job?
Yes, because basically the contract will occur during this budget cycle, and then pursuant to the terms of the contract, said payment would be part of the next one. So you'd authorize it this one, pay the
Alright.
next one.
Can I do that? Does that sound?
Yes, sounds doable. Is everybody okay with that?
To amend the motion?
I think I would make a subsequent motion to clarify, payment.
So moved.
Second.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Justin Nelms is absent. Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution letter of understanding for tornado sirens.
Bonnie and I are both, I'll jump on that one, Bonnie and I are both waiting to hear something back, we still don't know if there's any costs involved. We're trying.
Okay.
That's-
Leave it on there. Fee schedule, we want to add a dangerous dog fee.
I know the board had looked at other things that may need to be added, changed, removed. We did find a couple that I was asked to look into. The mobile home park fee in 2019 was gotten rid of by the planning commission. So I don't know.
Planning commission, or did it get rid of?
Well, it
by
was
the
with
village board?
planning commission first, and then I guess, then to the village board, it was signed by Troy Copeland.
It's gone.
It is included in there, in the packet, when I found that. I did have the sign regulations and the fireworks regulations in there that Felicia had asked me to look into.
Okay, Casey, you had mentioned that the sewer tap needed to be raised. You looked, not the
Yeah.
sewer tap, the
Manhole fee.
manhole fee.
That just sounds too cheap.
What would you like that raised to?
What is it now, 150?
75.
75?
75.
150?
Now with that, do we supply the manhole?
And I think Days buy everything.
It doesn't say that in here, so the manhole.
Cause otherwise a manhole's 10 grand.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say fee, manhole fee to clarify that.
yeah, we need to, do, so 150.
Yeah.
And we stripped the mobile home park license fee.
Bulk water is on there twice, in the alphabetical order, and then it's at the bottom.
Cause we raised bulk water last year.
Yes, but it's on the official one twice, so.
So we can take the one on the bottom off.
And I'm assuming, Rory, the mechanical amusement device, and since all that was repealed, those can just be completely removed from the fee schedule.
For the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think we adopted via ordinance, I'm gonna have to look at that.
Well, I know we adopted the thing stating that those were repealed and that, but can they, if I haven't taken anything officially off the actual fee schedule that has been approved, so do those immediately, do those come off? Does that have to
Well,
be?
and I'm trying to remember, we withdrew or basically repealed the ordinance, is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm,
If we repealed the ordinance, then yes, those should be off.
okay.
Is there anything else on this that you want to change?
Stacy, were you good with the trash at the village dump site, $30 per load? I know that, City of North Platte has
let's go 35,
Thank you.
cause it's still cheaper
It is.
than them driving all the way north Platte.
And that was for the trash at the village dump site was 135. Anything else on here?
Now, will it at least go in effect first of the year, or first October, or?
So we gotta adopt a resolution first. And then the only ones that we put a lag on, cause all these were existing and been existing for a long time, is the potentially dangerous dog. On page 11, those are going to affect 1/1/26.
So the rest of them after we do the resolution.
So we'll have to revamp it, build a resolution, and then.
Yeah, I
and then
have a
meeting-
resolution, but we can't do it tonight.
So it'll be
Next week.
November first,
Yeah.
Okay.
because we're not gonna start in the middle of the month.
Anything else on that before we go on?
So,
Here's the sticky one. Pool fees.
okay,
Well, usually I get chewed because we don't do it now, cause I usually bring it up.
but
in
they're on
spring,
here, but we raised them last year.
We did.
And I think with our bond being paid off this year, I think we're fine on it, but that's me.
That's, I'm totally fine with it if you guys are.
Keep it the same.
Okay, that was easy, that was painless.
So the potentially dangerous dog, we have a few of those in town that have been doing that. Do we send out a letter to them
That
once
was
you adopt the resolution?
my understanding. That was part of the reason saying January 1,
Okay,
to give them some time to put that together.
okay. Sounds good.
Any other questions on that? All right. Wages. This is that,
That's,
so basically our
I'll set my own wage.
minimum wage is raising up to, is it $13.50 an hour starting January 1, is that correct, Bonnie?
Yes,
So that's $1.50 an hour more than what we are currently at.
yes, so for
For minimum
example,
wage.
our lifeguards that this was their first year, were making $13.50. We raised it to that from $12 because the minimum wage went up. It is going up again as of January 1st, will be $15 an hour, so they will have to come up to at least that minimum.
So I have a crazy idea, imagine that. I guess looking at simplifying this, our minimum wage is gonna go up $1.50 an hour, and that's on the bottom side of every one of our scales. All of our employees now, if they all get $1.50 an hour bump on basically the January 1st, that keeps their scale upright. And that is a raise, a yearly raise, and that keeps us in compliance with the labor laws. I know before we've discussed percentages and this and that, that's just one suggestion.
Don't mind that.
$1.50 across the board.
$1.50 across the board, cause in my reasoning for that, we're raising the bottom end.
Sure.
People are already in their pay scale now, they should raise up to meet that, I think that's only fair.
We are going to have to look at that position range,
Mhm.
because I don't think anybody is, yeah.
Casey will be pushing
Um,
his.
One part-time maintenance assistant is gonna be over.
You got 11.
Oh, Bob.
Just another thing, it's not directed to the raise part. Have you guys, how many employees do you guys have?
Summertime, 32 to 35.
Okay.
Wintertime, we're down
Have you
to
looked into the
6
new
or 7.
state's, sick leave deal?
What's the next on the agenda?
Okay, I'm gonna say that's affecting a lot of people.
And
That was left on there for Rory to review.
Well, if we wanna dive into that real
Sorry, I
quick.
didn't have.
No, you're
I didn't
fine. defines.
so
So if you look at the definitions under, the Nebraska Healthy Families and Workplaces Act, it defines employers. Employer does not include, the United States, the state of Nebraska, or its agencies, departments, or political subdivisions.
So it probably wouldn't apply to you
Correct.
guys.
See what I'm talking about?
No, where you at on that one, Kim? Let's see.
Yeah,
So,
he's at 23.54.
okay, so that would be 20, so it'd be 4 cents over. While we're doing this, because we're always behind the 8 ball, we're fighting to get their top end of a pay scale moved sometimes. Do we shift the top of their pay scale up $1.50 at the same time? Then everybody, no one's gonna touch the top side of their scale with this raise at this time.
It's an easy way to do it.
So individual wage, $1.50, then range $1.50 at 2.
Yes, so the bottom side would have,
The bottom
we
side
wouldn't
is-
have to mess with the bottom side, because most of them are Nebraska minimum wage.
It would basically be, yeah, just the ones with the top end.
Yeah, anything written top end, if we went up the same $1.50, that would keep us within.
Why wouldn't we go up like $5?
And we can, absolutely. If you'd like to do that, it's the time to do it now, Derek.
I would add $5 to your position.
Yes.
So,
To the maximum wage.
Maximum of the
Max,
salary,
yeah.
yes.
Correct.
um,
Now, the library and librarian assistant, the library board sets their wages, correct?
correct, and if you look at those,
Which Bonnie and I did
Yes,
speak
and
about that.
I've spoken with, Amy Kaufman, the librarian, and she said that at their meeting first part of October, they will, cause they'd already voted in their raise, she did not realize the minimum wage went up to 15. They have it back on the agenda and are just going to be jumping everybody to $15 an hour as of that meeting, and they will backdate that to October 1st, cause I think it's at the end of October.
Maybe
Um,
15.
So-
payroll inclusive of October 1st, not,
Well, yeah, not back, they will include, back to October 1st, how, I mean, they have the wording and everything all ready to go, she just,
I just don't want you to slice a paycheck in half, only this many hours get this much and the rest of it get this much.
Yeah.
And basically, typically our raises go into effect, they're supposed to go into effect in October 1, our first pay period in October.
That's always the hope.
That's the hope, usually it's behind or backdating. So with this, we could possibly set it to start on the first pay period of October. Then we're not behind the game?
that's what you
simplified?
chose to do, that would be much easier on Tiffany and I.
Okay.
I do appreciate things that make my life easier.
So I will have the wage ordinance, put together for the next meeting.
Need that in a motion, or are you just gonna take it as a?
I'll just, I think,
Direction?
yeah, I think pursuant to the discussion, I think I have the information required.
Everybody on the board good with that? Is it fair?
And you can vote on it anyhow.
Yep, very good. Growth Committee.
That was put on, and Haley was hoping to be able to be here for it, she had church this evening though. We are struggling to get a quorum. The last 3 meetings, one was moved to be a work session, and 2 were canceled. We cannot seem to get the 3 remaining members in the same room at the same time. We got to looking, it was suggested to decrease the amount or change the number of meetings they have. Per our code book, they have to meet a minimum of quarterly. Anything other than that was voted on by the growth committee when they voted to continue meeting, to meet monthly instead. They would like to possibly drop that down, well, we would like to drop that down if need be. I know Haley has reached out to the growth committee members who seem to be all right with that, and then if something comes up that they maybe need to meet more often, an additional meeting can be called, much like we do with CARC, as long as you have enough notice. We can call a meeting. We just weren't sure how else to do it. We are reaching out to people, we're cold calling anybody that we think might be a good fit for the growth committee. You ask him. Casey would like to know if Jim Dickerson would like to join the growth committee. We have a couple people who've said they will think about it, which would give us a full board again if we can talk them into it. But in the meantime, if there's not gonna be anybody here, we're preparing for the meeting. Haley comes, she sits, she waits. She gets paid an hour. If she waits 15, 20 minutes and nobody shows up, she still gets paid that hour. We don't feel like it was a very good use of the taxpayers' money. If we can drop that back to ensure that we can have a meeting every 3 months for right now.
Does it have to be on their agenda to approve that?
To go to quarterly?
Yeah.
It's interesting how this reads, because meet at regular times as established by either it or the trustees, but no less than quarterly. When this was brought up to me, my thought was essentially they vote to do this and you stamp that, if they wanna go to quarterly. I think you can't completely give up your oversight on any board, but I mean, if that's what they would do, I would advise them to choose contact.
The problem is, and I spoke with Haley some on it, we can't get 3 members there to actually have an open meeting, so they could vote on it to change.
There's only 3 people on it.
Then what I would advise at the next, board, put on your agenda, growth committee, quarterly meetings. And you have the authority to change those.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
So I'll get that on there.
very good. Do we have anything on the Nebraska Health, Family, and Workplace Act discussion?
No, I think that's fairly clear. Private companies have a little bit of a shot coming if they have some.
Yeah, we just been getting a lot of phone calls, and as soon as you said that, yeah, that's right, so.
New business, fine. Cobbler Lane and Cherrywood street work. Tom?
Okay, well, we had a bid letting for digging out, Cobbler Lane and Cherrywood, and then replacing it with millings, which is what I recall we discussed. And we had 4 bidders, actually, all people that we would work with. Shelco was low, A Nutter Load was second, Beverage was third, and Werner was a distant 4th. I think you probably have a copy of the bid tab. Shelco and Werner bid the same material, which is millings, and then A Nutter and Beverage both bid crushed asphalt, which is a step up from what we expect. And as I indicated in my letter, it's actually a little better product, but it isn't what we expect. So the other guys may or may not have been able to spec it. I did go out to the milling pile out here by Kroll and look at it, and I tried to dig into it. It was stuck together so hard I couldn't really dig into it. So they're pretty good millings from what I see, but crushed is, like I indicated in the letter, more expensive, but it is a better product. So I recommended going with Shelco just because they followed the bid, but I also understand the advantage of the crush, so that's kind of a board decision, whichever way you wanna go. But because Shelco bid it like we asked them to, I feel like that's what we should give them to. But that if we don't want to do that, then I think we should rebid it and just specify crushed, if that's what we want.
Any question, comment from the audience at all?
I'm just curious, so you put in a bid packet, 1.5 inch, correct?
Inch and a half max.
Yeah, there's no milling that you can get without screening or.
Yeah, I agree with that, cause there was some out there that's some 3 inch and
Yeah, and when we run a state spec like that, and you have to screen everything that they recycle, so they screen it before they put it back in the asphalt, essentially, cause it has to meet a state spec. So that's where we came across that, like, yeah, millings are quite a bit cheaper, cause you're gonna have an odd size, you're never gonna have a perfect dimension.
now I will tell you, Shelco also told me they were gonna, if we wanted to have, get rid of the real chunky stuff, he'd run it through his pug mill and get it to where it was 1.5 inch max. So I'll throw that out, because he did tell me he would do that. So it's, again, up to you however you wanna look at it, but, you could, if you go out there, you can see the difference, there's two piles there. And one is the millings we would get, and the other is the crushed stuff that Tracy's talking about. So, different material.
Casey, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think that chances stuff would be a better product. But then again, we got people squawking because they bid it, is what the bid said. So I don't know, to be fair, do we rebid it? For the material we want, or we take it as what Tom spec'd it out as?
A rebid is another process. We're 21 days out for rebid.
Yeah.
So that extends your sunset dates 30 days.
And it also gets into colder weather.
Yeah, so-
That's a big thing, I'd almost recommend, well, depends what the weather looks like, it may be better to wait till spring if we do that, but sometimes, seeing 90 degrees in January.
Yeah, that's just it.
So you never know.
The thing is, what was the start dates? That's,
He was gonna start right away.
Shelby was.
12,
Yeah,
19.
I think I had it on here.
But that was his finish.
Yeah, he was gonna, his finish date was December 19. Chasen was, 1st of January, Beverage was April 30th the next year. I didn't even bother writing down ours, but anyway, so.
Would there be an additional charge to Shoko for running it through that?
Buying the, I don't know if he can buy the crushed or not. I
no,
don't
she's talking about running through the pug mill.
Oh, no, he said no. He said we would charge more. He said he'd offer that.
Which product do you feel is going to go, of the two bids we're looking at, say Shelco and another low right now? Of those two, what you know of the products, is there one that's going to lay down better on the street and give us?
The crushed will, for sure, because it's finer and it will pack tighter, in my opinion.
I guess as a board member, we're using dollars for this. I would rather see us spend a little more now and have a lot better finished product than take a low man and have to do something more again in 2 years. It's gonna cost us more than that, $5,000
Well, we
difference.
figure with the park improvements and everything we're doing,
A lot more traffic.
there will be a lot more traffic.
And-
They wanna have some events out there.
And plus, that's getting the parking lot done too.
Yeah.
Parking lot's included in this.
And like I told Tom, we will know as soon as they start laying it, if it's gonna work or not. We'll know within the first 20 foot if we open up a can of worms, or we're either gonna look like heroes or zeros, but we'll know within the first 20 foot how it's gonna be.
I would concur legally though, as Tom indicated, we gotta do apples to apples.
Yeah, we gotta go
Yeah,
apples
and
to apples, so we gotta go for a rebid.
If that's what you do.
I'm sorry, Tom, could you please place it out there for a rebid?
I'm sorry.
Could you please place it out there for a rebid?
Oh, yeah,
That's
I
my
we can do that, if that's the
So-
voice to say do that.
And before we get to that, I'm gonna call for a motion, because we have a bid sheet presented in front of us. So I'd entertain a motion at this point. If there's no motion, then we will have other discussion.
Motion to accept, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, motion to approve one of those on our bid tab,
Or reject all.
or reject all bids and go to a rebid process. I would entertain a motion either way.
Motion to, reject all bids on the bid tab and go for rebid.
Motion Backer,
Second.
second Dempsey.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
No.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Justin.
And the reasoning
Jones.
behind this rebid is to make it so it's all apples to apples, as Mr. Roundtree stated, and you stated as well.
Now, do we put a time frame to start? Okay, I just.
Can we put a finish date?
I don't-
Yes, you can put a finish, you can put any date in, you can put a start and finish, it doesn't matter.
But the thing about it is he's not, nobody's gonna be able to bid for another month, and
Right.
1st of December.
I'm just gonna say, Chance's bid's already out there in open sight. So, if we just screw that one up.
I would just say legally, your bid called for one thing, you had one person that responded to said bid. The other two did not respond, didn't provide an additional thing. I don't think it's legally, if challenged, I think you'd have a problem accepting a non-compliant bid.
Yeah,
So if we were going to do that,
But you could have accepted the shelter bid.
Correct.
Yes.
yes. We would have to look at probably a spring project.
Probably.
Is that,
Who knows, I would think so, Scott, but the weather could hold out till January, who knows?
how long does it have to go out to bid for?
3 weeks. Well, actually, I think it's 10 days, but
3
Roy can correct me.
Yeah, the 3 weeks is generally, and I don't have the exact language on it, but it's 3 weeks. I mean, that's,
I was surprised because I was told by a clerk that it's one time in 10 days. They changed it. Now, you can check it. I think
I'll have
3
to
weeks,
look. They
3
did change
times
a
is
bunch of
probably,
stuff.
that's
So-
kind of been our standard, is probably.
Where this has been sent out to bid, and we have, this is a question, we have 4 contractors that have submitted bids.
right?
If we reach out for addendum to their bids, because just like someone said, everybody sees what everybody else bid.
Sure.
Then we don't allow any other, I mean, we already have a partial, can we revamp that, reach out to those 4? This is what we want, rebid if you wanna rebid, if you don't, you don't. What's the legality on that?
Excuse me. So, I think you'd have an issue, taking substitute bids, because the statute doesn't talk about that. You basically accept or deny them. I was gonna look real quick, because they've changed a bunch of stuff on me, on publication requirements. I was gonna look at that to see if we couldn't speed this up a bit. At least 7 days prior to the bid closing, the legal newspaper. I mean, you could, I think we can probably get away with less than 21 days, given, I mean, normally that's best practice, but legally, it looks like the advertisement in the subsections, yeah, at least 7 days prior to the bid closing. So we could probably do at the next meeting if we got after it.
The next meeting's the 8th,
Yeah.
but trying to correct me if I'm wrong, it won't go in the paper till next week, right?
Yeah, right, we just printed this one, so we're
So
good up on this.
have to figure the 29th, the week of the 29th of publication, would that be sufficient?
Not really, because it wouldn't be until the 2nd. Publication would be on the 2nd.
Um,
2016, so you'd be the
So-
second.
So we'd still be looking at it the first meeting in October.
Second,
The second meeting on October.
22nd.
Oh.
So even with following the accelerated,
Right.
you're not getting there.
We're not getting there.
It's 22nd one way or another.
Yeah, so that's fine.
So you're wanting Shelco to bid it in concrete
No,
and
not-
Metter and Beverage to bid it in asphalt,
No,
so that it's
they,
even.
nope, they would have, so go ahead,
Then
Doug.
we would just go ahead and bid it all as crushed asphalt.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
just so.
And so I'm gonna just throw this out.
Which is what Shelco did in the first place,
I'm sorry.
which is what Shelco did.
No,
No,
he's just,
they bid millions.
No, sorry.
Well, it's up to, let them make.
Is there any other discussion on that? All right, we'll move on.
So we'll rebid it, correct, is that,
Yes.
was there a motion or does it need to be a motion?
Well, it has been rejected.
Uh-huh.
I think the cleanest way would probably be an affirmative motion to rebid using the crushed asphalt
On the 22nd.
and open bids on the 22nd.
Very good. We'll do that. Yep.
So moved.
Motion Becker.
No problem.
Second.
Second Dempsey?
That.
Okay, Justin Helms is absent. Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick, motion carries.
All right.
May I say one other thing there? The state knew all along we wanted to dump in that ditch. I don't know where they get the idea that we didn't want to dump in that ditch.
I knew that you'd said that and everything else, and we tried
I was
doing
gonna
it.
strangle 3 guys right there, but I didn't.
It was like, but no, I didn't wanna
Even,
upset them.
even the guy in North Platte told them that.
Yeah, I know.
I think they'll talk to you now. All right, thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Annual certification of program compliance.
This comes out every year. It's the certification program compliance for Nebraska Board of Public Roads Classifications and Standards. I showed it to Tom when he was up here for the bid opening, and he said it's the same thing that gets signed every year. I could not tell you what it does, but Tom knows, and
I can give you quick and dirty. The state says we have to. So-
pretty much, yeah.
Isn't this what we appoint Tom as our?
No, that, he said that was a completely separate one. That is the appointment of the street superintendent.
And that one's usually December, January, somewhere. in
Yeah.
there. This, says we're doing what the state says we have to do.
Basically, that comes with it, a resolution 2025-0901.
Motion to approve and allow everybody to sign this meeting?
Well, I would say, chair and other members to sign it as needed.
Motion Backer,
Second.
second Patrick.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Justin Mills is absent, Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, rodeo board request for some fence panels.
Jen Mueller had sent this over. She thought it had gone before the board, last year. One had, this one had not. We'd approved the one for the original 15. This was for 30 more, for the beer garden and sort of kind of fence all that off. They removed a bunch of the old panels that were in desperate need of replacement. So she asked if I would run this by the board, to get approval to pay it out of what had been requested in their budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. The first one was, I think, $1,600, total 15 maybe. This $3,750 for twice as many panels is, I don't think, in my opinion, would not be a bad purchase, but
And these panels are already up.
yes.
It looks a lot nicer than what it did before with the shoddy panels.
Yes, and that's what she thought. She had submitted both of them for approval when they had all the work done and had only submitted the one.
Yes, I would entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion Patrick,
Second.
second Dempsey.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Justin is absent, Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
motion carries.
Cameras at the Anchor Park.
I think, I just bringing this up to the board just to think about it, but I think with all the new improvements and stuff going up at Anchor Park, we need to protect our interest and put some cameras up there. Be a total of 4 cameras, one to be facing the Veterans Memorial, one to be facing the sport court, and the other 2 to be angled towards playground equipment.
And there's probably gonna be a lot more usage up in that area with all the improvements, I would assume.
And I do have a couple bids if anybody's interested in somewhere.
You didn't get them to me, so I don't know.
There was 2 bids, one of them was for $3,731, and that was for 4 cameras, wall mount, the monitor,
and the hard drive, and that would be put up in the building up there, in that green shed. The other one was, putting up a pole with an antenna, having everything go to my shop, and that was $5,291. Which I think we can just get by putting everything in the shed up there.
There's no, is there a monthly fee on this as well, or just a?
It's just a flat, one-time fee.
So they're not,
If something happens, you go up
Just like
there
the pool.
and rewind the monitor.
okay.
Yeah, it's a DVR, it's not networked with
Yeah.
their price, it would just be a standalone, we can review footage if something was damaged.
Quick question, do you know how long it will hold that recording for?
I didn't ask, no. I'm guessing 30 days.
Cause if not, is that something that would be a good idea to purchase an external hard drive that it records it onto? The 1 terabyte one will hold several months worth, and it's less than $100, or right about $100 for that.
Can they put a 2 terabyte hard drive in the one at swim pool?
Okay,
So I don't know what they looked at
well, that would be
up
a
there.
decent size.
4 terabytes.
Oh, well then, that'll hold it for longer than 30 days.
Is the shed up there insulated?
No, he thought at first, that's why there was 2 bids, to run it to the shop, then he come back today and thought we'd be okay.
Okay, the heat would
No,
not
and like
affect that?
I told Scott, if we have to, we can build like an insulated cabinet for the winter. He's more worried about the cold than anything, but.
Really?
A lot of those DVRs are rack mounted, a 19-inch rack that you're familiar with, and you can insulate the sides in the winter, cover them up if you need to, and it'll hold its own, retain its own heat.
But after today, he's more concerned about the dust than anything, like we really don't have a dust issue in there.
So where would the cameras be placed at?
On corners of that building.
Just on the corners of the building?
Yeah, otherwise, he didn't recommend anything else. Said we could probably put a remote, a battery operated one over there on that picnic shelter, but he says you'd be replacing the batteries all the time. He thought he'd get quality enough cameras that you'd be able to see everything. But one would be on the northeast corner, that would be facing the sport court. One would be on the southwest corner, that'd be facing the memorial, and the other 2 would be on the other 2 corners, and they'd be facing the playground. But it's something, we don't have to make a
I
decision.
think we've invested
A
a
lot
lot
of
of money
money.
into the park, I think it's smart.
We're having issues now with kids vandalizing. The biggest thing, we got a lot of money in just the Veterans Memorial, and having somebody knock one of them stones over and not catching them.
Yeah. And if it happened to hit somebody, it would save us from being.
Just Jim?
Reading ahead here, you got the Pawnee Charitable Trust. Could you work that in with these cameras?
Muriel, you're trusting.
I can put whatever you want in the application. I have some examples of other things that they've funded. I think if we kind of put it together as a package, I think it would, might as well. I mean, it's not gonna set us back that far. Their deadline is November 15th, and they just have one cycle a year, so we would know fairly quickly.
You can put your cameras on hold for a minute.
That's fine, I don't have a problem with that, I just wanna make everybody aware of it, that it's something that we need to look into.
I think it's super smart.
You can't put the cameras in this trust, is that not for that, or is it?
No, I think we could
Okay.
include them in the application.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what
I think it would tie
The only
together.
thing with me is I'm just worried about how accessible those cameras are gonna be, but then you're gonna catch somebody taking them off the wall too.
Well, that building's fairly tall.
Okay, yeah.
I guess if we,
They take it off the wall, they'll be recorded.
On video.
Yeah.
And if they don't know they're even there,
Yeah.
like, you know, if they're out there to mess something up, then
the shed in the park, they may not be looking at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
Poor kid just got
inconspicuous.
his face all over Facebook for slashing somebody's tires in North Platte.
Oh, yeah, looks right up the camera's mouth.
So
You
let's leave this
No, it was a
on
kid that
until
was.
our next meeting. Leave this, that one until next meeting, okay? The Robert F. Connick Charitable Trust, Muriel.
All right, Muriel Clark, 31513 West Park Road. I'm also here in my capacity as the program administrator of the Economic Development Program. So if you lived in town for any length of time, you're familiar with who Bob Connick was. He spent his whole life living out south. And when he passed away in 2007, he had an estate worth $6.5 million, and he wanted that to be used to support local governments and nonprofits in the 4 counties of McPherson, Logan, Keith, and Lincoln. And that would be after his wife and brother died, and his brother had passed in 2020. So Adams Bank and Trust is the administrator of that charitable trust, and the most research that I could find is that the only beneficiaries in Lincoln County have been a couple of the churches here locally. Even though he lived here all of his life, nobody really has applied for that here. I did see that the Agriculture Committee was going to make an application for their new building. I don't know whether that was approved or what, that was all I could find. Some of the awards that they've made, the Stapleton Splash Pad, $25,000, the Wallace American Legion, $20,000, the Stapleton Veterans Memorial Building, $90,000, Logan County Road Shop, $500,000, Saudi Road improvements in McPherson County for $500,000, a digital radio project for Keith County for $75,000, Lincoln County, or Keith County First Impressions, which is like their community beautifications, for $15,000. So they give, you know, kind of token amounts up to some pretty good amounts. As you can see, their application form is very simple. After you fill that out, they want a description of the project and then to describe the intended benefits of the project. They have one application period of the year, every year, and that deadline is November 15th. My proposal, my thoughts are that we apply for surfacing of the existing playground in Anchor Park, if you guys hadn't already got something going on that. Just some quick research that I did online. If we did a, it's called the Ground Smart Playground Mulch, 2,400 square feet would be approximately about $12,000 for that up there. And then you have some mulch on top of it. I thought, let's go ahead and apply for the pool park as well. And I can work with Casey on developing the project. If we wanted to get the materials, do it ourselves, if we want to contract with a landscaping company and get some bids, however you guys want to do that. I just found this grant opportunity. You know, we're making that investment up there, bring the others playground up to the standards. I'm willing to make the application if you guys want to go with that. And I think we could easily include the cameras in that too.
Could we include the remaining portion of the lighting too?
Let's do
I
it.
mean, okay, I mean, if we're gonna finish a project, let's do the remaining portion of the lighting up there to make it visible at night. And for the kids to play, you know, because what are we gonna have for lighting for the pickleball courts? Nothing, right?
I thought there was lighting included in that.
I thought so too.
But
I guess I don't remember.
I don't think so.
There was no electrical requirements in the bid, so.
Well, then
But
it probably
the
wasn't.
thing about it is you shouldn't be in a park after dark anyway, but if you go up there, I know it, but if you go up there at 6:30 in the morning, I did the other day, cause I've been trying to keep track of how many people, there's at least 10 to 15 people that walk that yard.
They're there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning walking.
Yeah.
Cause I get
There at 4.
calls all the time, you can come shoot this goddamn skunk.
Yeah, But if we could include
It's like shooting.
the lighting, the remainder of the poured concrete, pad for up there, the security cameras, I mean, do we wanna
What's
shoot
the remainder of the poured concrete pad?
for the other area?
The playground.
That-
Oh,
that's
the
what you're
soft, the
talking-
soft stuff, okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Can
that's
you
what,
get another, how hard would it be to get a poured surface like the new?
We looked into it, and it was $190,000.
Yeah, 193
It
something.
was, I kind
to-
of looked at some of that
yeah,
too.
Same
It was-
idea.
And that
Yeah.
included pulling up all the other, they had to dig
Yeah.
down, put the concrete underneath, and then,
Oh,
so it was,
We about had a heart attack, cause we
Yeah,
figured
that's-
out if it's 30,000, 40,000.
I thought it was stroked down.
Yeah,
there-
that would have been, that's what I was hoping you would say. 'Cause
if
I'm
we
like,
wanna
that's
shoot for the,
awesome.
if
Is
you
there a
wanna sh-
limitation on the amount you ask for?
No, there,
Evidently not.
this is all that they have,
Well,
so
if I were
there's,
you guys,
there's
I'd
not a lot of
shoot for the
guidelines.
thing, ask for
I'm gonna
250,
shoot for the moon
300,000.
and put a covered shelter up there too. I mean, or do we wanna
Why
see
don't you
how
try
far we
and
can
make
push
sure
them?
all the playground's the same?
Yeah,
'Cause you could bid
I
like
would
that.
say to leave off the shelter, if we did the park the pool park surface, the anchor park surface, the lighting in anchor park,
The cameras.
and the cameras, and then
There's,
a
there's
year
a
from
hun-
now.
there's $100,000 right there probably.
Yeah, a year from now, if, you know, we could do the gazebo and just keep going like that, but.
Yeah, hey,
So I guess
I'm
probably
gonna,
the.
I'm gonna guess the lighting's gonna be 35,000, cause the poles are expensive.
Probably the cleanest way to do this would be to have a vote to allow her to apply for this, is that correct?
Yes, and to work on it, I think ultimately probably needs harder numbers on what you're actually
Oh,
applying
yes,
for.
yeah, I'll work with
But if
Casey
you
on.
get started and come back and say, I've identified X, and then you, I'm sure give a blessing and approve it.
so she's got her blessing to move forward on it.
Well, just start doing all the homework, yeah.
Do the homework and then we'll leave it on the agenda
So
for the.
when's the deadline, you gotta follow?
November 15th.
15? So do we put the lighting out for bids, so we kinda know where we're at?
I mean, I think we want as hard of numbers as we can, but that means
Or at
we
least
have to
get
have
estimates.
everything back.
Or at least get
By
3,
that
4
12.
estimates, kinda see where we're sitting.
I would get estimates.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, I mean, you're not obligating yourself one way or another.
Good estimates to use as a number for our application, and then if it's awarded, then we may have to go to bid to figure out what we got.
I would call it probably a Anchor Park Security and Safety grant request.
Well, or the pool park
Or
too.
park
security.
Safety and security.
So that, good for everybody? Good on that? Okay. Bob, do we need to sign something for you tonight?
No, I'm just.
Okay, no, I hope I didn't leave you out.
Trying to stay awake. No one ever
I'm just,
hangs out.
I'm just observing, it's more interesting to sit here than at the hospital.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Clark,
I just had a question because we hadn't heard from her forever, so that was my big thing. So just to see, so
Yeah,
that was good.
no applications, I'm working on a new application for the 910 First Street there, but I'm leaving on the 3rd until like the 20th, and I couldn't get my committee together for a quorum, so we'll meet probably that week of the 27th to hear that. There is some movement on another big project, but I don't have the details on what they would be looking for there. But hopefully, I'll put the word out to some people that have been talking about changes or applications that we will be meeting on that 27th, and we might hear some from them. I did work with Rory a little bit on the changes to the contract, but until my committee meets to consider those, we can't recommend them to you, so.
I do have a question on that, it's been brought to my attention that one piece of property is up for sale that we allowed.
Yes.
It's fine, they improved that piece of property, and there is nothing we can do to fall back to get our money back, that's correct?
Well, I am working with them, Bonnie and I have been going back and forth, and I got the signed contract back from Bonnie to review. I have tentatively told them that we will have that on the agenda for the 22nd meeting.
But didn't you set that precedent when you didn't get money back from streeters?
So the verbiage in that was business for 3 years,
Right, right.
but his business is still active.
Right, I understand that, but you kinda, if you don't have it in writing for the
It's-
residents.
there's-
I know.
Okay, that house that these gentlemen purchased over on
Liberty Street, they tore
Liberty
down.
Street.
Yep.
They tore down, they
Okay.
got the grant to.
For the demo.
For the demo on it.
Mhm.
Now the whole piece of property is up for sale.
But they did what they said they were
They
gonna do.
did.
They
They used the
did.
grant
They did.
for,
They didn't follow their guidelines that they pitched to us, that they would have the duplex built.
Or a
into
house,
ours.
yes.
but that doesn't, how does that affect you though, really?
Well-
Like, if your grant was for the tear down, then that's on us, right? Because we accepted their pitch. They got a grant to tear down a
Tear
building.
down the house.
That's
And if
it.
they followed, I guess, the contractual agreement is what I'm always
Yeah.
going to lean into.
Yes, and
Yes.
I have not, since that's all happened, I'm just a little busy with the Makers Market, so I haven't sat down and read through the contract
Right.
again to just make sure what was discussed, what was written out there. So that's why I have just tentatively told them that we would be discussing it at the board meeting on the 22nd, so,
And I guess I would say, like, if you find, to me, if we find, just like we did with the streeters, like, if we find something that is in, that the words should be changed, that we're missing the boat on these things. you know.
right, and
that's why-
that's what
they're
we're
working
working on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've all been learning as this goes
Yes,
on.
yeah,
it's-
New
it's
stuff
all
comes
learning.
up.
Good,
Now,
yeah.
I do kind of, when I emailed them about that, you know, they came back with basically what you said. You know, this lot is in a lot better place than it was before, and don't you think that would be good enough? And I'm like, well, I can't speak for the board, so
Right.
we're just, yeah.
Contracts they signed, the
Yeah.
contracts they signed,
Yeah.
you guys
Whatever
in
the
the email
contract
board,
says.
work with him on that.
Yeah. So that will be something that we'll probably have on the agenda the 22nd.
Very good. Railroad Park.
Quick question about all of the weeds and our ordinances, nuisance ordinances. The weeds along the highway between the fence and the railroad, and the railroad,
Okay, so
are like out of control.
those are basically it's on the railroad side of the park.
Okay,
And that's not the stuff that we have a contract to maintain,
okay.
because there is a contract.
Yes.
And is this part of that or not? I guess.
No, that is not part of
Okay,
it. And we cannot go on that property. They used to come through once a year and sprayed, but they haven't sprayed.
Is it village property
No,
or no?
that's all
It's an
railroad,
easement
even railroad
for-
parks, railroad property,
Okay, even the park is,
yes.
okay, okay, that was my question.
Every once in a while, when we
You
spray,
accidentally
we
spray
kinda,
them?
we
Yeah.
kinda let it drift over there on a
Yeah.
good, nice day.
Last year they brought a big shredder in and went all the way, I know they went through Paxton, all the way to
Yeah,
Walla,
chopped
shredding
it
along
down.
the rail, shredding
Okay.
weeds, so.
That was my question.
I know, I have
And it
been,
looks like,
I have been in contact with that
That's what-
Chris Reswick, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, who is our railroad contact, regarding the invoice for what we do take and maintain there. And he did say, he asked if the weeds were bad, I did tell him they were bad. He did say that was in the works to get that taken care of, so they are aware of it.
Okay,
I
Yeah,
just
that was
don't know
my
how long it
question.
will take them.
so,
Alright.
when there's snow on the ground.
yeah, when they're dead, heavy with snow.
Chicken permit at 521 Locust.
She's got a shed there and that's it.
So basically with that, you can't approve it
No.
until you see the water, the food.
And a number of chickens.
She didn't bring the chickens home yet because, it does say that, it has to be approved, the coop and stuff has to be inspected before the chickens can be on the property. But we can't inspect the property until we can look at whether there's gonna be food and water for them and how many chickens there are.
And there is a couple chicken permits that's been denied because one of them, they were over. They had
Two of 'em were
12 that we could count and 4 roosters, so we denied that one. And then the little old lady hasn't come back in to get another permit for hers.
So do you want Veronica to move? She's buying Renner's chicken coop.
Mm-hmm.
but
She's gotta
she-
move.
Huh?
She has it there,
She did move it,
yeah.
okay.
But we can't approve it until we see how many chickens are gonna be there.
So you want her to buy the chickens first,
Yeah, she can buy them.
but then,
As long as she's not over 6 chickens, she's got food, water, shelter,
She
we're
knows
happy.
how many chickens she's allowed, she can purchase,
she
yeah,
does,
it's,
that's why I'm asking, she doesn't, so.
oh,
That's why
Well,
I'm
we told her
asking, 'cause
6 and she's like, I don't plan on getting more than 6 anyway.
Okay. So 6.
6 chickens, no roosters.
I know she's
And-
gonna
and
have
one
some
damn
time, so
duck.
that's why.
By the
she
way,
asked me
the
about
little
it.
old lady said if you want her to get rid of some of her chickens, you can come and take them. So you can deal with her, not anymore.
Fried chicken Sunday.
So basically, that one
It's pending until she
okay,
gets her
pending
chickens.
until, all right. Place a special assessment on 621 Fern Street, and we'll do that via resolution 2025-0902. Mr. Roundtree.
I was advised, by the clerk's office, or by your office, clerk's office, that there was an, looks like there's going to be a sale, and whether or not this has been provided to me. At that time it had not, so we got the legal and identified 4 separate, mowing times and weed abatement times, and the amounts are reflected in there. I will note, pursuant to state statute, once this is adopted, it has to be sent to Mr. Halcott at the address, and then I will record that, so it'll be part of the property. There will be notice, if it does in fact get sold, that has to be resolved.
So if that person is not picking up their mail at that property anymore, we still legally have to send it there, or do we have it officially served?
It was mailed.
Okay.
We provided to the registered owner of that property.
All right. Trina?
I just like to encourage on getting one for First Street. So we know he's in prison, and that his mom is supposed to be handling his stuff, right, legally.
I have no idea. I just know that the village has provided services to that location, 4 times. That's what I
And
know.
he himself has called here 3-4 times now, said he is out.
Oh,
He's
out?
looking at selling the property
Okay, I
and
didn't
wanted
he
to
was
know if we had everything ready to put the lien against it, so that he didn't owe the village any money after the house was sold. So,
out. I see, I did not know he was out.
I did not either until he had called, and I immediately got a hold of Rory and was like,
Does he have an outstanding water bill?
he does. That apparently is a whole different animal.
Okay.
Rory didn't wanna touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Okay, that's
so.
fine, cause it ain't that much
There's
anyway.
different rules on
It's like
that.
$160.
Okay, good. Well, at least he's out and they can get something done.
yeah, motion to approve resolution 2025-09-02 and have the appropriate people sign.
Motion Backer. Second Patrick?
Okay, Justin is absent. Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Kim Backer.
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
SDL or Special Designated License for Longhorn Bar with the Agritourism Conference Social at Stolen Vault Records. It's on page 39.
Just indoor, not additional.
Just, he said indoor, just for a few hours on I believe a Monday night.
10/22.
Yeah.
From 5 p.m. to
I think it's a 27 actually.
Or 27. Motion Patrick?
Second.
Second Dempsey?
Okay, Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Justin is absent. Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Kim Backer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. I believe that gets us to claims.
I'll go to amendment claims to include Shelco for $63.80 for street improvements, and Trevor Hall for $37.50, Office Radio But I wanted it on this month, on this year's claim, so. Cause that would be considered improvements, wouldn't it, George?
Public, I mean, that's still owned by the village.
Keno's got 16,378.18. Where do you want to take it out?
A lot of the reason that Keno shows that is because we have a lot pledged to the park.
Yeah. We'll check.
That's equipment,
You don't want to take it out of your equipment fund.
so then just take it out of the general.
Yeah, okay. But I just wanted to make sure that we added those two in there.
Bonnie, was
The
there something
Keno
else?
money market from Hershey State Bank has $96,858.38 still in it.
All right, so you see
We have not moved any over to the Adams Bank and Trust Keno account.
that.
And
Okay.
I didn't print the Hershey Bank, I just thought about that. It is on the balance sheet that's provided in there
Alright.
though. Otherwise, I mean, there's the equipment fund that could come out of.
I believe the equipment just run the, there's enough to run Keno if you make someone make a call where you wanna run it out of.
I think Keno.
Yeah, I agree.
That's,
It is considered an improvement?
Well, it's still village properties. I mean, that's technically a village park.
And it stays with the park, it doesn't.
Right, I mean, it's not going to a third party, so it would be village.
Bonnie, there was something I talked to you on this afternoon. What
Yes,
was
I
that?
did have a question on whether or not it would need to be included on claims, to move the amount to the equipment fund that needs to be moved from from Adams Bank and Trust to Hershey State Bank. Now that we have separated out all of those that should have been equipment, that would be the 2 Caterpillar payments and, the loader, everything else that has been sale of surplus property except for that loader and then those 2 cat payments, has already been put into Hershey State Bank. That would be, it's a total of $150,593.30 that would need moved.
Was that in the minutes of those meetings to be used out of the equipment fund?
That they were to be put into the equipment fund, but we weren't sure where it has to be cut as a check and then taken to Hershey State Bank. If legally that would need to be, approved to be cut as a check and then put on a claims list, and that was, I'm kind of glad you stuck around for this, Bob. Would it be best practice, cover our butts, paperwork to approve that transfer from one bank to another via paper check?
Is it in the same fund?
All departments in our general fund pay basically $7,000 a year for the loader payment,
Okay,
and we write the loader payment out of the equipment fund.
out of the equipment fund.
So we needed to transfer the 2 loader funds that they've not been reimbursed.
I physically write a check, cause then it just prevents,
Okay.
the
Paper trail.
Then does that need to be amended onto the claims, or because those have already been
No,
told to be moved?
It's just kind of transfer between accounts, you're not paying outside vendors or anything.
Okay,
You're moving money between yourself.
and that's what Scott
I
and I
don't
were
know if
not
that's
sure
really
on.
a claim at all.
No, I mean, it talks about, like, the language warrant, well, nobody knows what a warrant is anymore, that's,
Yeah.
Some 1800 language, but anyhow, but it directly deals with third-party contracts. So
Right.
internally, it's more
I
of a
think-
you problem than
Yeah,
a
I-
legal problem.
I don't think
Okay.
I think it's just it just cleans up the transfer between banks, cause we can trace it easier, it's not, you don't have it's
Okay.
easier to reconcile, as you
And that's what we were hoping to find the best way moving forward, and then it will just be,
Cause like I said, I don't think it's a claim, because it's within yourself, you're just moving the stuff
Okay.
around.
okay.
Nonetheless, it's clarity for everybody in the room.
Amy Kaufman, you've got on the list as 377.30, but on the claims detail, I'm on that one, falls out the way.
Okay, is there any other additions, corrections on claims?
Motion to approve as corrected with Sheffield and Hall.
Motion back.
Second.
Second Dempsey?
Kim Becker, Justin Nums, absent Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Alicia Patrick, Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Adjusted total will be $50,656.52, if anybody wanted to know that.
Then your payroll report's provided, and your comp certification report is provided.
I did add in the packet, balance sheets. There's one account that I am somehow missing that I could not find, $166.69. Tiffany's looking over it to see if I just missed something.
On your reconciliation.
Yep, and that, on that final reconciliation, and then, every account, all 28 accounts the village has will be reconciled, up through August, and as soon as we get the September statements, I can get that done also. So we are 1 month short.
Excellent work. It's been a process. Is there any
This is
FYI
why I'm not
information?
an accountant.
That's music to my ears, reconcile the
Bob's gonna do a dance.
That's right.
Casey, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, they do. If you haven't been up, they showed up last week. They got the playground equipment set. I thought they would be here this week to do the sport court, but evidently, I don't know if the rain's got us scared off or what. But they were supposed to do the sport court and concrete on the playground about the same time. The fence was supposed to be done at the pool tomorrow, but they called and pushed that back till next week. So hopefully they'll get it done next week and we'll have that taken care of. Today we started scraping paint on the old Saxton's gas station. We started painting the trim on that. Got the pool pretty much put back together, got a little bit of grouting to do, and it'll be done. Then we'll start winterizing it and putting it to bed for the winter.
Okay, very good. Bonnie?
I tend to just run my mouth during the regular meetings, so I think I've given any updates I have. Which one? Did I forget?
Software that you're gonna install.
Oh, yes. Haley and I finished, I did forget that. Thank you, Kim, for reminding me. Haley and I finished our training days with the Power Manager. We are in our testing phase, so they have uploaded, Sutherland's actual data so that we can mess with it and like we can run a bill cycle, we can do all of that, with their supervision. And, mid to end of October, we will be going live with it. We will do one last billing cycle with G-Works. We are in the process of setting up, either through PayClicks or through Nebraska Payport, the auto pay and online bill pay and things like that. But yeah, we're a few weeks away from going live with the all new software and taking care of all that. So we've been getting a hold of customers and did send out a letter at one point letting everybody know, hey, we are changing, hoping to make this as smooth a transition as possible.
But some of those letters did not make it to their recipients.
Yeah, we sent one out to everybody in town and
You didn't get
yeah.
one either?
Well,
You can't promise what the postal service can provide.
Nope.
We can make the,
So
See?
we are gonna, put it on Facebook that we are gonna be doing this.
can we
I
put
would-
it on their next, the bill? Can you print that?
We're gonna
as
put it
a
on the
bill
next
at
bill, and Kim and I discussed seeing if we could run something in the paper, getting permission from the board for me to run something in the paper, saying that we will be going live with this new software. We are going to try to do this as smoothly as possible.
I didn't get a letter.
I asked my husband, I didn't get one either, so,
I didn't get one either.
yeah, and they're,
Should you pay one to get a letter?
You never know with the post office.
Well, that's just it. You sent out how many of them, and
one to every registered address in Sutherland.
here's a prime example right here. There's 6 that didn't get them.
Well, my neighbor didn't get his either because I asked when I went home, so I don't know.
Derek should
Yeah,
go home, see if he
and
got
we
one.
sent one to everybody, businesses, everything,
When did you send them out?
Sent them out a month ago.
a little over a month ago, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I would take it, I mean, we pay for it, I would definitely,
I would go see what happened to them.
yeah.
There's a bag of mail somewhere sitting.
Usually when you, well, you should have got it. We can't even do water samples there anymore.
Looks like you made a call.
We had to,
Anybody raise their hand, please?
we had to go with an overnight courier.
So we should follow up on that, I guess, Bonnie?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
There we go.
Welcome to the growth committee.
All right. Kim, did you have anything?
Absolutely nothing.
Derek?
Nothing.
Justin is absent. Felicia? And I would like to say thank you to everybody on our budget stuff. We got that finalized and it went a lot seamlessly, more seamlessly this year than we ever have. Thank you much on that. It's 8:16. Having satisfied all items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion Patrick.
Second.
Second Dempsey.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Justin is absent, Derek Dempsey.
Yes.
Motion carries. Adjourned 8:16 PM.
Robert, everything goes good.
I was thinking 7:30.